Ladies and gentlemen, we have some massive news that just got released today. Tucker Carlson is going on a full rampage and he's exposing the Biden family alleged corruption and everything the mainstream media is trying to hide. Because unlike the establishment is trying to tell you, Tucker Carlson actually leaving Fox News was the best thing. The shackles of censorship are now gone from Fox News and he's free to speak his mind. And since this announcement, Joe Biden is now potentially facing impeachment. So everyone, this is going to be a very important critical update. So let's not waste any time. Let's get straight into the news, the facts, and the data.
This spring, word began to circulate in Washington that the House Oversight Committee, under its new chairman, Congressman Jamie Comer, had discovered criminal behavior after reviewing thousands of pages of the Biden family's bank records. Now, publicly, to the extent they responded at all, the White House dismissed the investigation as, of course, politically motivated. In any case, irrelevant. Hunter Biden was an adult, so his business dealings had nothing at all to do with his father, in this case, the President of the United States. But in private, everybody understood it wasn't quite that simple. There has long been overwhelming evidence that Joe and Hunter Biden's financial lives are not separate at all, but deeply intertwined. On Hunter Biden's laptop, there's a suggestion that the two of them even at one point shared a bank account. And of course, Hunter Biden wrote himself that he kicked back cash from his foreign business deals to his father. He wrote that bitterly. So the Oversight Committee's investigation was potentially a disaster for the White House, a scandal, possibly even the prelude to criminal charges. So in order to get ahead of all of that, Joe Biden's handlers did the one thing they could do. They set up an MSNBC interview to preemptively whitewash whatever Jamie Comer might find. Here's the result of that. This aired on May 5th.
Sir, there is something personal that's affecting you. Your son, while there's no ties to you, could be charged by your Department of Justice. How will that impact your presidency?
First of all, my son's done nothing wrong. I trust him. I have faith in him. And it impacts my presidency by making me feel proud of him.
Okay, time for the master class.
What, everyone? It's now making him prouder that his son is a criminal, and now he's actually pled guilty to a ton of charges.
Class, for free, you can audit it. Here it goes. Sir, showing appropriate respect, says the shill, there is something personal that's affecting you. Note the wording. Personal, not of public concern. Nothing law enforcement might be interested in, but personal, a sad family tragedy.
This is what makes me sick about the mainstream media. If you go along with their agenda, if you're on their side, they'll give you these soft pieces, they'll give you these soft interviews where they won't ask any hard questions at all. But for example, if you look at the BBC interview they did on Andrew Tate, they completely slammed him from the onset, and somebody else is convicted, found guilty of the worst crime possible. They'll ask him, oh, how are you feeling? You poor you must be really struggling after the horrible things he did to people.
That's the framing. And then this, a sentence choreographed to the letter. Your son, while there's no ties to you, could be charged by your Department of Justice. Got that? Well, there's no tie to you. So the answer is in fact in the question. Whatever Hunter Biden goes down for, and we know he is going to be charged because MSNBC said so. But when that happens, that's Hunter's problem. It's got nothing to do with Joe Biden. Rest easy, America. 5 days later, the Oversight Committee released its findings, and they were in fact devastating. Quote, bank records show the Biden family, their business associates, and their companies, their many companies, received over $10 million from foreign nationals and their related companies, the committee wrote.
This is absolutely insane, everyone. They have the evidence of the corruption, but absolutely nothing is happening. And I'm sick to death, and I'm sure you're sick to death, all these politicians getting away with absolutely everything. And if you just do the littlest, tiniest mistake, they will throw down the full letter of the law to you. They're picking and choosing who they apply the law to because the justice system has become overrun by politicians.
Investigators had, quote, identified payments to Biden family members from foreign companies while Joe Biden served as vice president and after he left public office. So actually there was something there. It was a scandal. Racketeering, money laundering, wire fraud, those are some of the crimes the Bidens seem to have committed, in addition, of course, to selling out the United States for cash. So what would happen to them? Well, Donald Trump had an idea, quote, they'll hit Hunter with something small to make their strike on me look fair. Trump wrote that about 2 weeks ago, and it turned out those were prescient words.
This is another very, very worrying thing I'm seeing going on in the US right now. We're seeing the Democrats get away with almost everything, but you see people like Donald Trump, if he even jaywalks across the road, they'll try to throw him in prison.
This morning, Hunter Biden pleaded guilty to pretty much nothing. Biden pled to 2 misdemeanor tax evasion charges, then entered a diversion on a federal gun charge. That's it. As far as Merrick Garland's Justice Department is concerned, Hunter Biden is done. There was no pre-dawn raid carried live simultaneously on CNN. There was no perp walk, no handcuffs, no press conference. Above all, there was no felony. Hunter Biden, who broke federal gun laws, can still carry a gun. It's like it all never happened.
What's going on, everyone? You better believe if this was a MAGA supporter or a Donald Trump supporter, they would never be able to get a gun in their lifetime.
In fact, the Justice Department just baptized Hunter Biden. A lifetime of sins washed away in an instant. It was a secular miracle. Most miraculous of all, Hunter Biden somehow escaped a FARA charge. FARA is the Foreign Agent Registration Act, and it is exactly what its name suggests. Under federal law, if you are acting as an agent of a foreign nation in Washington, you are required to register with our government to let everybody know. Well, for decades, pretty much nobody in Washington did register under FARA, and precisely no one was ever prosecuted for it. But starting several years ago, the Justice Department began sending people to prison on FARA violations. The official explanation was, we're cracking down on foreign influence in Washington. And of course, privately, everyone in Washington laughed. They knew that was absurd. In fact, it's the opposite of the truth. Foreign powers have never had more power in Washington. Their agents are everywhere, in every federal agency and throughout business, down to and including in executive positions at various social media companies. The Biden administration knows all of this, and it's not a problem. In fact, it's their policy. From the administration's perspective, the concerns and the demands of, say, the Chinese government, or particularly the Ukrainian government, are far more important than the needs of American voters.
Tucker Carlson is definitely on target here as well. We're seeing a lot of Western countries, they're putting illegal immigrants before their own citizens. They're coming in the hundreds of thousands and the millions right when wage growth is at all-time lows, right when we have a huge housing shortage and the housing crisis is getting worse with rents going up out of control. And we have a huge homelessness problem that they say they can't afford to fix, but they can afford to house these millions of illegal aliens.
We're cracking down on foreign influence. Please. The point, the only point of enforcing FARA, after decades of ignoring it, is to harass and imprison high-profile political opponents. Trump donor Elliot Broidy pled to a FARA violation a few years ago. So did Trump campaign manager, famously Paul Manafort. He went to prison. Last year, the DOJ went after Trump confidant Steve Wynn under FARA. But in the end, the Biden administration overreached so comically that the whole thing was thrown out by a judge. But they tried. So as long as they're trying, if it was a fair system, Hunter Biden would be first on the list of those next to be charged with a FARA violation. In fact, many of them.
Are you starting to see the double standards here, everyone, and the absolute crazy hypocrisy?
Hunter Biden was a foreign agent. He never registered as one. But for years, that's exactly what he was. He sold access to his father and other lawmakers to the Chinese and the Ukrainians and countries throughout the world. There's no debate about that. The FBI has known about it for years. For years, they've had possession of Hunter Biden's laptop.
That's exactly right, Ron, and still nothing has come of it.
But they didn't charge him for it today. They never will. Why? Well, you know the answer. Hunter Biden has good genes. A more interesting question, though, which is another question the feds will never consider, is what does Hunter Biden do for a living now? This is a man with no obvious job and, of course, zero skill. Spent midlife smoking crack. Yet somehow he's managed to live pretty well despite rising inflation. He's been living in big houses in the costliest residential neighborhoods in the world. He's been paying his stripper baby mama $20 grand a month in child support. And he has retained a team of the most expensive lawyers in the country who spend quite a bit of time sending threatening letters to anyone who asks questions about how they're being paid. We can confirm that firsthand.
Do you see these pictures, people? Would you be proud if your son was doing this? Imagine what the media would do to Donald Trump if his son was posting pictures like this.
So again, what does Hunter Biden do for work? That's a fair question, and tonight we have the answer. For years, Hunter Biden was an influence peddler. Now, Hunter Biden is a self-actualizer. He self-actualizes for a living. He gets in touch with himself, his feelings, and he follows his muse. Here he is explaining his new vocation in a 2019 ABC News interview.
This is new. It's your studio.
Yeah.
But now he's opening the doors to a place never captured by a paparazzi's lens. His refuge, an art studio where he finds solace in painting.
What's the goal eventually?
No goal. That's the perfect part about it. It's just, it literally keeps me sane.
His refuge, far from the paparazzi's lens. In other words, we're not the paparazzi, we're ABC News. What's the goal of this? Your refuge. There's no goal, he says, grinning with those fake teeth. It just keeps me sane. But actually, there was a goal. And if you didn't know what a virtuous person Hunter Biden was, you might think it looked a lot like money laundering. 2 years after that interview, Hunter Biden was selling prints of his art. And to be clear, just the prints, not the quote, art itself, but effectively photocopies of it for $75,000 a pop. Apparently, Hunter Biden moved 5 of these repros in just days. That's $375,000 in less than a week for signing copies of your fake art.
I don't know about you, but that sounds a bit strange to me, everyone.
For the paintings themselves, childish self-indulgent blots, those sold for $500,000 a piece. So the question is, who bought them? And why? It'd be interesting to know. There's a story there for sure, but of course we have no right to know. There's no public policy implication. It's not like Hunter Biden's finances have anything to do with his father's finances. Meanwhile, once his father did become president, corporate publisher Simon & Schuster lined up as well to pay Hunter Biden's bills. According to news reports, Simon & Schuster gave Hunter Biden millions of dollars for his highly selective account of his wholly unaccomplished life. And then the publisher lined up brainless celebrity endorsers like Dave Eggers and Stephen King to promote it. King, who apparently will say anything if it helps the party, called Hunter Biden's silly manuscript a, quote, harrowing and compulsively readable memoir. And then Stephen King described Hunter Biden himself as beautiful. Needless to say, the book sold miserably, but Hunter Biden got to keep the millions, and that was the point, and so on. This kind of thing apparently happened a lot. Again, there seems to be a story here, and we think it's probably worth learning a lot more about it and bringing it to you. In the coming weeks, we will. In the meantime, though, the question is, what can we...
Wow, that's going to be huge, everyone. I definitely can't wait. I'm sure you can't wait, and I'll keep you updated when it comes out.
We learned from Hunter Biden's plea deal today. First off, the obvious. For the children of the people in charge, there are no penalties. There are only upside. They're princeling. They can do what they want. You are not. Therefore, you can't. So don't get any ideas about cheating on your taxes or violating federal gun laws unless you want to celebrate next year's Father's Day through the glass in the visitor's room. The rules definitely apply to you, including rules you don't yet know exist. But there is also a deeper lesson here, a more disturbing one. What we're watching through Hunter Biden's life and through the Biden administration, now entering its 3rd year, is the total inversion of virtue. What was once considered admirable is now derided as stupid, if not racist. That would include achievement, intelligence, honesty, self-control, humility.
That's exactly right, everyone, and that's what I've been talking about. What's good is now bad. What's bad is now good. They're continuing trying to dumb you down. They want you sad. They want you depressed. They want you fat. They want you eating horrible food. So that way you're fully relying on them and relying on the system. They don't want you to be financially free. They don't want you to be financially independent because then you're not easily controllable. But if they create something like a central bank digital currency and create something called universal basic income and get you reliant on your $2,000 paycheck a month, which won't even cover your rent, well, then they can buy your obedience. Oh, and by the way, if you're wanting to learn how to build wealth and master the cycles of Bitcoin, gold, silver, you can click the link in the description while it's on sale.
Those are features of the old America. Those were yesterday's virtues. They are gone. In their place, all that we once considered contemptible and repulsive, we're told to worship that now. Here's a small example, but we think a revealing one. In addition to his many other sins, Joe Biden has hired what has to be the single dumbest, nastiest, most dishonest, most ridiculous person he could possibly find for the very public position of White House press secretary. There's a point to it, of course. It was a humiliation exercise. It was designed to degrade the country and dispirit the rest of us. That's the White House press secretary? Shut up! But here's the thing. The White House press secretary herself has no idea why she's in the job. She thinks she's amazing. Here she is in a clip we just saw.
A year in this role, there's been a couple of things that has made me incredibly proud. Many things that made me incredibly proud to be at that podium during this historic moment. Again, this is a historic administration. I'm a historic figure, and I certainly walk in history.
See how these people on the left only care about themselves? They say this is historic for me. I'm the only person to do this. They are all narcissists and only care about themselves. And that's why I think we're seeing a lot of people coming out as trans now, because it gets them a lot of attention that they didn't have before. And I don't know what she should be proud for. She literally doesn't answer any questions at all.
I'm a historic figure? Imagine saying that. I'm a historic figure, but she does. And she says it in a burst of sincere self-congratulation, marked by her signature bad grammar. Illiterate, but proud. Of course she's proud. Karine Jean-Pierre is now a historic figure, just like Hunter Biden is now an important artist. It makes you feel stupid for going to work.
Well, everyone, that was absolutely massive. Tucker Carlson is not holding anything back anymore and completely exposing everything the American people need to know about the alleged corruption with the Biden family. Now let's go over the reaction to this episode. Look at this. Elon Musk responded saying, raising interesting questions. I definitely agree. Look at this meme, everyone. This is hilarious. The FBI went investigating Democrats. I don't think you could get any more accurate than that. This person's tweeted here, the Department of Justice needs to be dismantled or else we will lose our once great country. I completely agree. Look at this, everyone. Sworn enemy of censorship. Another thing that's crazy that Joe Biden keeps on saying in public and nobody questions him about was, she was 12, I was 30. Absolutely sickening, everyone, what he's getting away with. And this picture here perfectly sums it up. Tucker Carlson and the shackles of Fox News have been broken and is going towards free speech. So everyone, hopefully this is a big step in the right direction for exposing the Biden family. But what do you think will happen? Do you think there'll be any charges and have a multi-million-dollar speaking deals and books over the coming years? Let me know down below. Now, for my loyal viewers and subscribers still watching, you're awesome. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next video.